Hi, my name is Liz Schwenke, and welcome to this edition of Inside Scoop, where we talk to friends and neighbors about current and upcoming events in our town. Today I'm happy to have with me Gary Cheney, who is the coordinator of ShareFest. Hi.
Good morning, Liz. How
Welcome.
are you?
Welcome. I'm fine, thank you. I think last time we talked about this a year or two ago, this was known as the 11 Days of Sharing, and I'm hearing around town that it might be called something new this year. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. It's kind of nice to have good things grow, isn't it? We started off as a one-day event, and we went to a three-day event, and then we went to an 11-day event that lasted a couple of days or a couple of years, and now we are having a 30-day event.
30 days of sharing, that's a long time.
Yes, I like to refer to it as a season of service. So September is a good season of service.
So what are some of the things that will be happening during those 30 days of sharing?
What we did, the real core of what ShareFest is about sharing and giving and caring about people. And what we really wanted to do was find out what the needs were in the community. And sometimes that can be hidden, but when you start digging around, as we have done, and our committee has done, we have found out there are needs, for example, for food. We are feeding over 2,000 people every month currently.
My goodness.
We need 35,000 food items each month just to be a supplement to feed the people. So those 35,000 items each month would only feed the people for about 3 days that need the food. So we do know that there's a need for food. We know there's a need for clothing. We know there's a need to reuse and recycle items like books and scrap metal and wood and electronics. And of course this year we have the hazardous waste collection again. So we took a look at those things that were needs, and in addition to those that I mentioned, service projects for people who are disabled or disadvantaged, or maybe they just had a very hard time for some unforeseen reason. I think as good neighbors and good citizens of the village that we really should reach out to them in their time of need and help them in whatever way we can.
So it sounds like this has grown maybe even a little bit beyond New Lenox, that the core and the crux of ShareFest is happening in New Lenox, but you're able to reach out to people in our sister communities that are also in need.
Absolutely, and we're really happy to do that people could learn from some of the great successes that we've had, as well as some things that we've either stumbled or I don't want to use the word fail because everything has been a success. But it sure is nice to share those memories and experiences with other communities, and they do reach out to us on a regular basis, and we've helped communities, our neighbors nearby, yeah.
So as far as like the food need, do you work with the area food pantries to help coordinate through them, or is this a separate entity from the food pantries?
No, I think one very important thing to do for anyone who likes to maybe think of something big to do, or something that they would like to really have an impact on. It's not rocket science. You can go back and look at some great people in history, especially in America, who have done some great things.
Right.
And one of the things that they've always done is surrounded themselves with good people. And what I have done is I've surrounded myself with some really good people. And I found those people who are passionate to fill and meet the needs in a community. So I have coordinators for each one of our initiatives, a coordinator that, in the case of the food drive, like you mentioned, would be Jennifer Hazinga and Kathy Johnson,
right,
and all the other food pantry heads, and
sure,
we just bring them in together, and they are part of our committee.
That's great.
So that's how that gets done.
Let's talk a little bit about a couple of the projects that will be happening throughout the 30 days. You mentioned a service project. Can you talk a little bit more about that? If someone needs their roof patched, or is that the kind of service projects you're talking about?
That is a great question, and it's also kind of difficult for me to answer because I would really love to be able to help everybody. And sometimes we can't do that, but we have done some roof jobs. That does take funding, which, last year we raised $1,237. We spent every penny and more. We do know by the data and the formulas that we use that we had $175,000 worth of impact.
Oh my gosh.
So, we had experiences of those 100-fold, outcomes, but it is very difficult to do full roof jobs. So cleaning and fixing up of minor repairs, do a lot of window washing and picking up any yard work and painting and
Maybe have
things like that.
mowing a lawn for
Gutter
someone.
work. Oh yeah,
That's great.
absolutely.
That's
All
great.
of that.
And how about the project on Saturday the 14th, I believe it is? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I wish I
The
could
Health
come
and
up.
Safety Fair.
Wish I could come up with a better name, but for lack of a better phrase, we kind of call it the main event. ShareFest Saturday, but the main event is always the second Saturday in September. And we've been very fortunate to have Spencer School campus given to us every year to pull this off. We take up the entire campus, and out there at Spencer School you will find everything that we do over the 30 days come together in one big event.
I was there last
at
year.
one place.
It was
at one
amazing.
time.
It was amazing.
Yes, we have thousands of cars that come through there. We collected, for example, last year in the electronics drive, we had 17,000 pounds of electronics that we
Holy
collected
cow.
in 6 hours of time. I believe we had on the hazardous waste material, we had somewhere around 45,000 pounds of that.
I remember cars were just driving up and dropping things off.
Exactly. And just to reflect backwards a little bit, if you took a look over the last ShareFest events over the last 4 years, including last year's hazardous waste, which was really a great collection, we've collected close to 97 tons of material out of
Wow.
our community, electronics and wood and styrofoam and hazardous material. And whenever you can do that, I think that it really adds to us being able to say we are a safe community.
Now, can you take televisions and things like that? Or is that allowed? Or
Yes.
okay.
Yes, anything with a chip basically you can take and you can bring in. So all of the electronics are in addition to the hazardous material. Now, if someone wants the full list, they can go to the website, our website at sharefestnewlenox.com, as well as Will County Green, which has a fantastic, it is Will County's Land Use Department's green initiative, and you can find out a lot of information there about recycling.
And if I recall, when I was there last year, you had some great professional speakers that gave mini talks to people there on maybe some health and exercise related issues. I know that you have great speakers again this year, and if you don't mind, we'd like to share those names and the topics with people right now.
Yes, it's wonderful to have the hospitals participate and doctors and clinics and organizations. We have Dan Martin, for example, who is our public health and safety director, has 50 organizations this year involved out there, and it's going to be a phenomenal event. They have lots of giveaways. People can come and talk to doctors, and they can come and talk to nurses and other people from these clinics and organizations, and
They had
pick
some
up
screenings going on. I remember blood pressure screenings last year and
we
some
had
things like that.
Yes, about 20 to 25 different screenings, plus the seminars that you're talking
Right,
about.
right.
Yes.
I know that unemployment's a big topic now with everybody, and I know that part of this is also a job fair. Talk a little bit about that.
Well, if you talk about needs in the community, one of the first things that comes up is jobs, right?
Right.
Why not have a job fair? I think that it's really important. These aren't just events that we're doing just to do it. We're doing it because we are this home of proud Americans. And if we are going to say we are proud Americans,
Right.
we have to be proud Americans. We have to choose to make that choice. So, I just thought it was so great that when the economy was at the bottom, that's when some people really rose up. And I have to give great credit to the village, to Nancy Hone, to Dan Martin, and a host of employers who came together and said, we know times are tough, but let us bring this together, and we're gonna hire people locally. So let's continue on with that job fair. And it was probably the most successful job fair I've ever seen, and I've been through a lot of them and put them on for years.
Because I know there's going to be a couple speakers there as well, but I think there's also going to be some help to look at your resume to see how you can
Yes.
improve it, job counseling, that kind of thing. So those are all really, really great things.
right? And that is here at the Village Hall, as well as being expanded out to the New Lenox Public Library. We needed more space and more room.
Right.
So we have the seminars going on at the library, and then here at the Village Hall, you'll be able to meet and greet with employers. I would just tell people to dress appropriately, bring your resumes, be prepared to talk to hiring managers face to face.
That's very cool. I know we'll show at the end some phone numbers where people can call to volunteer, but can we talk about that a little bit? Do you still need volunteers?
We sure do.
Okay.
At this point, at this hour, we've probably got about 500 and some odd volunteers we need this year. I might have 40 right now.
Oh my goodness.
So
There's plenty of opportunity then.
there's plenty of opportunity.
Good.
And, they'll come.
Good. Any other events or anything about the 30 Days of Sharing that you'd like people to know about? Things they can come to or just get involved and participate as much as you can?
We like to have people, volunteer to put in a couple of hours, and then hopefully that's a way for them to pay it forward. For example, let's say that there's somebody who could use some food or some clothing, or maybe some services done on your house, or maybe what you could do is bring in and participate in the recycling. The hazardous waste, there's only 4 of those all year long. We happen to have one of them right here, year after year after year. I would ask people to participate. That's a way that they can share. If somebody wanted to come in and pick up some food, we're going to have 2 truckloads of food this year. So they would be able to grab the food. Maybe they could participate in another way by giving a couple of hours and volunteer for an event. So that's another way that they can pay it forward.
What if people wanted to donate food between now and then? How would they go about donating food? Are there drop-off places for canned goods or take things to the food pantry?
Yeah, another great question. And I would encourage people to go to the website to take a look at our partner locations where all of those are listed. But the thought here is to have a couple of semi-trucks that we would be able to have as collection sites. So there will be one at Standard Bank on Nelson Road. There'll be one at St. Jude Catholic Church. And then what we're going to use those vehicles for are to collect the food, the books, the clothes, items for our troops, items for pets. And then we'll have that as one central location. You can bring it in. We'll disperse it out from there. We take it to our warehouse. We sort it and pack it and distribute it out to give it away on the 14th.
Well, it all sounds great. Anything else you'd like the viewers to know, or any phone numbers or websites that you wanted to share?
Well, I heard from 2 people today who don't live in New Lenox anymore. They live in Chicago and one lives in Kankakee. It's really kind of funny. They called up and said, I used to live in New Lenox and it was 5 years ago and this happened and this happened. And they were just going on and on how great of a community it was. They've moved away, and they called and they asked, could we possibly come to the ShareFest event?
Oh, how nice.
And I said, yeah, bring your friends with you too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thanks for sharing with us today. Thanks for sharing with us, and I really look forward to seeing you again at this year's ShareFest. And
Thanks so
thank
much,
you
Liz.
for watching.